Here's a handy way to automate your lighting cues to video playback from ProPresenter, particularly useful for those VBS worship videos. I'm pretty much going to be talking to those who already have timecode set up on their lighting consoles. If you don't have timecode set up, maybe we'll have a chat in the future. Now, ProPresenter does not natively transmit a timecode feed, but it does output audio and we can work with that. Basically, what we'll be doing here is adding a third audio channel to our video file and using that to transmit the timecode feed. In case you're not familiar with what linear timecode is, basically it's just a timestamp of sorts that is transmitted using an audio path and sounds like actual garbage. I'm going to be using Adobe Premiere, but you can probably do this in your video editor of choice. First, we're going to start with a blank Premiere project. Then go ahead and drag in the video you would like to add timecode to. Next, you're going to go ahead and make a new sequence. Now, the only thing that we're really going to need to change here is the number of audio tracks. You can see once you go over to tracks that the default is going to be 2. Drop down and select 3. That's all we really need to do here. Go ahead and click OK. And you're going to have our sequence. At this point, go ahead and drop in your media. And it's going to ask you if you want to update your sequence settings, since your sequence probably doesn't contain the same settings as your video. Since the only setting that needs to be different about the sequence is the number of audio tracks, go ahead and click on Change Sequence Settings. Now everything looks to be normal, but if you look at your master audio meter section, you'll notice that rather than just having 2 meters, we now have 3. The next thing we're going to need to do is actually get the timecode audio file itself. There's a few places that you can generate timecode files, but one of my favorites is the LTC2 website. Here you can go ahead and choose a few settings. The frame rate setting is going to have to match the frame rate in your lighting console. Go ahead and set the duration to anything you desire, but anything above the length of the video is going to be perfectly fine. The start time setting allows you to add an offset to the timecode file. Once you have selected all your settings, go ahead and click Generate LTC, and it's going to give you a link to download a zip file. Go ahead and extract that zip file. We're going to drag the audio file that it's extracted into the Premiere project. Go ahead and just drag it down to one of the open audio tracks. Now what you're going to want to do is go into the audio track mixer in Premiere, and you're going to want to change the routing for that channel that you just dragged the timecode to. For me, I added it to channel 2, so I'm going to change it from being routed to outputs 1 through 2 to outputs 3 through 4. Now you can see in the master meter section that we have audio on channels 1 and 2 from the video, and the timecode file is playing on track 3. At this point, everything looks good, so we're going to mark the in and out points and get ready to export the video. The export process for this is going to look a little bit different since we need to select a codec that allows us to have more than 2 channels of audio. You can see with H.264, I'm only able to select mono, stereo, or 5.1. However, if we change the format to QuickTime, in the audio options, you see we now have the ability to add additional streams of audio. So if we click Add, you can see that now our first stream is a stereo feed that has the stereo feed from the video, and the second stream is going to be a mono feed that has that timecode data. At this point, everything else looks good, so let's go ahead and export this video file. Once you have the exported file, go ahead and drag it into ProPresenter. Now there's going to be a few configuration things we need to do in ProPresenter, and again this is going to depend on how you have your timecode set up. Basically what we need to do is get an audio channel out of ProPresenter that is separate from the channels that you're listening to. For the sake of demonstration, I'm going to be using a multi-channel audio interface. Channels 1 and 2 are going to be the stereo feed that we're listening to from the video, and channel 3 is going to be the timecode feed into the lighting console. So you notice up here at the top, currently we only have stereo audio. Let's go ahead and go into ProPresenter settings, and in the audio section, we can bump the channel count up from 2 to 3. Now again, you're going to need to make sure that your audio device supports more than 2 channels of audio and you're able to get one of those channels to your lighting console. Under routing, you can see I simply have one-to-one routing from ProPresenter channels to the device outputs. Real quickly, in the inspector for the video, if I go to audio, you can see the video does in fact have 3 channels of audio, and they are routed once again one-to-one to the ProPresenter channels, which is routed one-to-one to the audio device output. Now, when we play this video, you can see we have stereo audio from the video on channels 1 and 2, and that third channel over there has the timecode feed. For the demonstration, I'm going to be using Vista. Just know that I have the third audio channel from ProPresenter going into the LTC for Vista. So I can actually use Vista's handy learn timing feature to set timecode for my cues. You can see once I start playing the video in ProPresenter, I have timecode in Vista. That is the clock it's counting. Now, if I hit play on cues, it's going to go ahead and remember that timing. When I'm done with learn timing and I play the video, you can see the cues play back without me doing anything at the exact time that I recorded them.